Hello, hello. I am so excited once again to be back here with you guys. Hello to the YouTube world. I am once again recording on my phone for YouTube. So if you ever want to see my face, I ain't gonna tell you it's pretty, but if you ever want to see my face, you can hop on over to my YouTube page and check me out. So, hello, you guys. It's so exciting. I'm recording this on the Monday before Thanksgiving. So I am gearing up for the Thanksgiving season. And it is one of my favorite times of year. Not that Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday, but it is one of my favorite times of year because, we're getting close to Christmas, and it's just a really nice time to reflect and remember being thankful, right? And remembering that being grateful and being thankful is one of the most important things that we can do in our lives. It's one of the best ways to have good mental health, and it's one of the best ways to have a good relationship with Christ and with others in your life that you love. Gratitude and Thanksgiving is just so important. And I think you guys probably know that by now, judging by the name and the title of my podcast. And, the fact that I am always talking about gratitude in one way, shape, or form. So I'm sure you can gather that gratitude is huge for me and that Thanksgiving is a great time for me. So with that said, I want to talk about something that's a little bit different than that, though. Honestly, gratitude ties into everything in life, right? It really, really does. But I want to talk about something a little bit different, and that is perspective. So perspective is a huge thing, you guys. I think often in our society, we forget how important perspective is. We forget how important it is to recognize that people are just innately different than us. It's just the way it is, right? Everybody's different. God made us all so different. And with that comes different perspectives, right? And so, in the first couple episodes, I talked about leading with love, and I like to talk about that. I like to always make sure I'm leading with love. It is one of my things I strive for most in life, is to make sure that people understand the place I'm coming from, and that I'm coming from a place of love and care and kindness and respect, and a place of being a helper. I really am, in the depths of my soul, I'm a helper. And it's just, I don't know, it's just the way I am. But what's interesting about the kind of helper I am is I'm not someone who wants to do it for you. Right? I want to teach you what the skills you need. I want to teach you whatever it is you need to help you in whatever situation you're in. Does that make sense? I like to teach someone how to fish and not just give them fish. Does that make sense? That's something that I learned a couple years ago and thought that was such a great analogy. I think it's really important that we remember that in our lives, that it's more valuable to teach someone the skill that they need to help them in the situation that they're in, and not just do it for them. Of course, there are times when we need to be that kind of helper, and we need to be the kind of helper that that does actually do the physical work for the people. But, it's also really important to make sure that we're teaching them the skills that they needed. So that's why, in the business that I own, Ducks in a Row, my life organizing, my organizing business, my professional organizing business, and then the kind of the offshoot of it is my life organizing business, where I have clients that I essentially kind of coach, and we go through the different aspects of their life and what they need to kind of be taught of what to do and how to do it in order to be successful and to succeed in whatever goals they have set forth that's important to them. And so, it's just something that I find very valuable, and I think is really important, is to teach those skills, to, create the avenues and the systems needed in people's lives to be able to then help themselves, to empower them, right? So that was a little bit of a tangent there when it comes to my helping attitude. That was definitely a little offshoot, which I will probably elaborate more on in a later podcast. But really what I want to get back to is the perspective, right? And, I just started talking to you about, my desire to be a helper in life. And with that comes understanding perspectives, understanding the different walks people are on, right? The different path in their life that they're on. It's so important. We cannot generalize and just assume that everybody has the same pain points and that everybody has the same things that they're going through. I mean, here we are in 2020. And we would think, right, that we're all in the same boat, right? We're all dealing with the woes and the crazy things that are happening in 2020. We're all dealing with that, right? So we can all say we're kind of in the same boat. But interestingly enough, we are so incredibly not in the same boat, you guys. Everybody has a completely different perspective they're coming from. Everyone's coming from a different background. Everyone's coming from a different pain point. Everyone's coming from a different perspective. And we've got to really, really, really remember that when it comes to how we are treating others on a day-to-day basis. Another really easy way to fall into the trap of, not taking perspective into account is when we're talking about politics, and such a polarizing topic right now. It's always a polarizing topic, I feel like, but I feel like it's even more of a polarizing topic right now, obviously, and the times that we're in. But it's just so important that we sit back, right? And we think, okay, how do I lead with love? A really good tool in leading with love is understanding perspective, and is understanding the different areas that people are coming from, okay? People have been taught things from the moment they were born by influential people in their lives. And it's really hard to step away from that and to be like, well, wait, maybe I don't feel this is important. Maybe I don't believe this, or maybe I this or that, or you could have this person who was, abused or has a certain pain point if something that they've had to deal with in their life, right? Maybe they got burned by this or that, this political party stands up for. And so they got burned in that situation, and they have a very personal thing, an attitude towards whatever that thing may be. And you could look at them and be like, well, what are you even talking about? That's not a big deal, or that's whatever. Don't we all agree on this? Well, no, we don't. We don't all agree on this, because everybody brings something different to the table, and everybody brings a different perspective in life and in everything that we do. And understanding that, I think, is really, really important in leading with love. Now, we don't have to agree with other people. Let me just make that clear also. It's not that I feel like we need to agree with someone in order to lead with love, but we do have to understand the perspective that they're coming from to lead with love. We also don't have to look at their personal situation and be like, well, if that would have happened to me, I still wouldn't have this perspective on this situation. I would have thought this way, right? But that's you. You're different. You're not that person. So the way they handled that situation is different than the way you would have handled it. Sure, fine, okay. But that doesn't mean that we can't meet them where they're at, and we can't understand the perspective that they're coming from. We have to understand that everybody is different. This gets lost so much in our society, and I feel like it is so lost right now. It's painful. It is painful, the things that we can go through and we can see on social media, and how somebody's just simply sharing a thought or an idea or a perspective, right? And, people are just attacking them for it and just not understanding. Well, I don't understand. Well, how could you possibly feel this way if you're a Christian? How could you possibly feel this way, if you stand up for this particular right? Well, that's not for that person to judge, is it? Think about that for a minute, you guys. If you are somebody that is so quick to judge somebody in that situation because of a belief that they have put out there or because of a pain point that they do have, it's still not your right to judge where they're coming from, right? And it's certainly not okay for us to think that we are better than somebody else because of how we are presenting ourselves in the world. You know, we are not a better person because we aren't putting up a fight about the masks. You know, I'm just going to say it. There's a good example. You know, you're not a better person. You don't care about society more just because you wear a mask. You don't know why somebody else might not be wearing a mask. You can have an assumption, you know, and maybe their reason is something that you feel is selfish. And that's fine. You can still think that. But it's also not okay for you to pass judgment and think that they are a selfish person because they're not wearing one. Okay. And you know, whatever, maybe I'll get hate mail for this, but that's just my perspective. You guys, I mean, I wear one. I'm not even, it's not that I'm like making an argument for masks or not masks. It's just a really good example in the world we're living in right now. You have no idea why that person isn't wearing one. Right? You think you have an idea because of what you're being taught, because of your perspective, and because of your pain points. You think you have an idea, and you think you can blanket everyone and just say, well, if they're not wearing one, then they don't care about saving lives. They're selfish. You think that you can have those thoughts, but you can't. You really can't. I'm here to tell you, you can't. It's not fair to do that to somebody else when you have no idea their pain points, where they're coming from, and their perspective. So think about that for a moment. You know, when we're living in this tumultuous time of just so much unrest and so much, you know, so many different opinions, you know, and you just can't assume things, right? And you can't, okay, let's take the other side of it for a moment. So we're making things equal and fair. You also, someone that doesn't wear a mask, it is unfair of you and it is not okay of you for you to look at all the people walking around with masks and think that they are just sheep and they just do whatever they're told and they don't have a backbone and they don't, whatever it is that you think, or they're just letting the government rule their lives. It's not fair for you to pass that judgment because you don't know the perspective they're coming from. You know, maybe they have a personal account where they happen to be wearing a mask in a situation and everybody else got sick and they didn't, you know, or maybe they want to take that extra precaution because there is a loved one in their life and they don't want to bring any disease home to them. You know, you cannot pass those judgments. It is not biblical and it's not leading with love. And, you know, even if you want to take biblicalness out of it, and if you're not a Christian and you're listening, it's just that is not how we lead with love. That is not the good isn't coming from you deciding to pass judgment on somebody else based on your own beliefs. It's not warranted. And I am just here to challenge every single person listening to this. If you feel like it's okay for you to pass judgment in these times, okay? And you can apply it to politics, right? Well, how could anybody vote for Trump because he's so hateful, right? All right, well, fine. That's your perspective. That's your thought. How could anybody vote for Joe Biden? He doesn't have whatever. He's got dementia or whatever people say. You know what I mean? Okay, that's your perspective. That's what you're being told. That's your pain point. That's either what you're taught or what you're reading or what you're watching or a personal, account of something that happened to you. That's not everybody, you guys. That's not everybody. It's not fair. It's not okay to pass those judgments. You don't know those people. You think you do, but you don't. And I'm sorry, I'm just shooting it to you straight. There is never a circumstance. Challenge me on this. If you're listening and you don't agree with what I'm saying, send me a DM and let's chat about it. Because I am boldly stating right now, there is never a time that it is okay for you to pass judgment on somebody else because of their beliefs, and for you to think that they are a lesser person, or they're selfish, or they're wrong, or they're mean, or they're hateful, or they're racist, or they're a bigot, or they're a whatever, a homophobe, or they are a sheep, or they want the government to rule everything they do. All of the things that people are arguing about right now. Every single one on both sides of the spectrum. Both sides. It is never okay for you to pass judgment on those people when you do not know their perspective. It's not. Okay? You have got to put aside what society is telling you right now, because society is going to tell you it's okay for you to think that those people are evil, hateful, wrong, sheep, whatever you want to call them. Society is going to tell you it's okay for you to say those things because other people are saying them. Other people are saying these things. Figures in, whatever, famous people, whatever you want to say. Okay? People are saying these things. So you think it's okay to say it because they have some sort of authority. And so, okay, well, they're telling me that, yes, if I believe this way, then everyone that doesn't believe like me is this and this and this and this and all the names. No, just because they say it or just because you're being told that, first of all, doesn't even mean it's true because you don't know. And it might be true, right? Those people might be all those things that are bad and wrong and evil. They might be, okay? I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying everybody's good. Oh, trust me. There's a lot of evil in this world. I recognize that, okay? So they might be, but it's not up to you to make that choice. It's not up to you to make that judgment. It's not. It's God's job to make that judgment, not our job. And the sooner we can all realize this, and the sooner we can all accept that everybody is coming from a different background and a different perspective, we will stop judging one another so much, and we will finally be able to unify as a group of people in this country who I dare say actually want mostly the same stuff. I think I said this in an earlier podcast, but I feel like most people want, health and happiness for their friends and their family and their loved ones. And they want their freedoms and they want success. It's pretty much the same thing for everybody. So if that's the case, why is there so much hate? Why isn't everybody leading with love? Why isn't everybody saying, well, I don't agree with that person. I really don't. And I don't think I ever will. But I probably won't because I'm not them. And I don't know where they're coming from. So I could maybe ask them to explain to me how in the world they could ever think this way. And they could maybe explain it and I could maybe still not understand. But that's okay. That's fine. Unless people are going out murdering people and, you know what I mean? And then just doing the absolute most grotesque, evil things that are against the law already, which that's another case. Obviously, I'm not talking about those people. But your average everyday people who are all pretty much good people, they're just coming from a different perspective and a different walk in life. We can all get along, you guys. We can, especially if we're leading with love. And it's not even that you have to be their friend, for crying out loud. Like, I'm not even telling you to be their friend, but I'm saying challenge yourself to be more accepting and to not get on social media and spew at the mouth about how so-and-so and such is so stupid and dumb because this is the way they think. And it happens on both sides and it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I mean, it's one thing if you want to share your views. I think that's totally fine. Go ahead, share your views, because there might be people out there that will see what you're sharing and be like, oh, that's an interesting perspective. Oh, I never thought that perspective before. I'm so glad you shared that. I might change my mind about this. It's not that you can't share your feelings. Please share. Everywhere and anywhere. If you feel compelled and God leading you, or you just feel like you need to share something, then share it. I'm not telling you not to share something, but I am telling you that when that other person shares that's different than you, do not feel the need to chime in and attack them. You know, more often than not, they're not asking for your perspective anyway. You know, they're not really asking for your thought on whatever they posted. Maybe they are, but more often than not, they're probably not. So just remember to lead with love. And even if you feel like you want to say something back to them, try and do it in a loving way. Say, well, I don't really understand where you're coming from here, but this is my perspective, right? This is how I feel. There's nothing wrong with that. And then if you're the person on the receiving end of that, take it with grace and take it with love. You guys, I mean, it's beyond me. I don't know what it is about my personality, but it's beyond me that people find it so necessary to be hateful, to, virtue signal, to make other people feel less than because of their viewpoint and their thoughts and their feelings. It's not okay. It's never okay. It's just not. And that view, that perspective that I'm sharing with you right now, that it's not okay, if you don't agree with that, I'm inviting you into my DMs. I'm inviting you to come talk to me about why you think I'm wrong about that. I'm here. We'll chat. I have no problem with it because I am accepting of other people's perspectives. Okay. And I'm not sitting here virtue signaling myself saying I'm so great because I get other people's perspectives. That's not what I'm doing. Everybody is capable of doing that. First of all, I'm not special because I try to do that, right? Everybody's capable of it. Every single person. So I'm not special. I'm not saying that I'm special, okay? And there are still times when I do vent about the things I don't agree with. You can ask my husband. There's plenty, and my close friends. I will vent all day long about things that I don't understand and perspectives that I don't get and why I feel this way and not that way. And that's totally fine. I do it in the company of people I know I can do it in, where we're not going to get in a fight and it's going to be totally fine, right? I can also have a civil conversation with people I disagree with. That's the type of stuff we should be doing. Not all over the internet, acting like fools. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't get it. And I just want to challenge all of you. If you want to be healthier and happier and have, a better perspective on everything and be more grateful, then think about how you can stop the judgment. Right? Try and see other people's perspectives, meet them where they're at, and lead with love. So I hope this wasn't too much of a lecture. You guys know I love you all so much. And that's why I started in the beginning with, this is where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a place where I'm a helper and I want to love you, but I do it in a way of teaching. I'm trying to teach you what I feel is right and biblical. And I'm welcome to people opposing that view. It's fine. And I also know that I'm not perfect and I'm not trying to say I am, but I do work really hard at trying to see other people's perspectives because I think it's really important. So I really hope you guys can think about that too. And I really hope you can take this message and, go forward in the days ahead remembering this. Okay? Thank you guys so much for listening. I love you as always. And please don't forget to leave a review and to share. All right, guys.